Hello and welcome to another episode of Levitate Live with me, Ryan Nell, or the first 5 of 10 tips on ways that one might stay calm amidst the chaos, which is just everyday life at the moment. So obviously all of us are dealing with things in different ways. Some of us have been forced, maybe not this much time. And then for others of us, we are isolated and missing company. So whether you've got too much company or too little company, welcome on board. Really connect with your environment. I think it's especially important when things feel as out of control as they might feel at the moment, that we do find ways to ground ourselves in the present. The old imagination machine up here can take us in crazy directions, and it's very, very easy to jump ahead. Quite frankly, imagined doomsday scenarios, well, they're not hard to come by at the moment, but really to kind of jump ahead to, oh my God, how am I going to cope? What's my job going to look like? What's my life going to look like by the time this is all over? And equally, it's very, very easy to lose ourselves in the past. The past has got a bit of an allure right now. It feels like a golden age, an age where one could freely head to the bars and shops and cafes and museums and friends' houses and get a little bit further than the park at the end of your road. But here we are. So why don't I recap the tips that we covered last week, just before Easter. I did a sort of first 5, and I was very optimistic that I might cover 10, and didn't manage it. So as all of us are, some of us are very visual creatures, most of us perhaps, but for others of us, a sense of the way things feel emotionally is more important, or indeed maybe your auditory. Maybe you smell colors, and is all about grounding ourselves in the present. That means connecting to the world around you as it happens, as opposed to thinking up new and novel ways of escaping it. So the first 5 tips were slowing your breathing down, sitting up in bed in the morning and taking 6 deep, slow belly breaths. You are hacking into your parasympathetic nervous system, or rest and digest. It is the balm, the soothing balm for a system which is all too frequently. 2 is letting go. We hoard our experiences just like we hoard our possessions. What that means is that we get very weighed down in things that have already happened to us. Some of them were very positive. We think we add them to our story. They are the story of who we are. Some of them were very negative, and we would really rather forget about them, but here they are, an unwelcome companion. And so we can practice simply asking ourselves the question repeatedly. You will be surprised at the answers you get just by re-asking this question. What am I holding on to right now? Is it some conversation that didn't go so well with your sibling earlier on today? Is it a self-limiting belief that you've been carrying around? Is it some kind of disappointment, some exams that didn't go well back when you were 15, but you wouldn't know it was back when you were 15 because you were carrying that low-level trauma around with you today? And simply imagining that you were blowing that experience into a balloon, and when you're done with holding it, you're simply going to just let it go. It's a helium balloon, so it's going to float upwards. It's not going to disappointingly just fall slowly to the ground. But you could have a balloon like that if you want. The The point is you are no longer holding on to it. That was tip number 2. Tip number 3, mindful seeing, mindful watching, mindful gazing, doesn't matter what you call it. We are talking about using your eyes to connect with your environment. So if I look out the window right now, well, I've got all of my washing on a line. It's not beautiful, but viewed through another perspective, it kind of is. Most of it's white, but there are patterns of light and shade. There are different colors at play. Beyond the sheets, there are some leaves. There's the neighbor's fence. Looking at that fence now for the millionth time, I am seeing new knots and whorls that I hadn't noticed before, gradations of color and shade. Yes, it's a boring old fence, and yet there are new delights to be found simply in the looking. That's tip number 3. Take some time out of your day and just look. See if you don't spot something new. Tip number 4 was to write a letter to your future self. This one's a doozy, I think. Well, I love it because I came up with it. I probably read it somewhere else and I've just recycled it, but it feels relevant. Now, I know mindfulness is about the here and now, so I think this tip should end in the here and now. But the here and now for some of you, lots of us, is not all that fun. And I like to talk about not putting too much effort into escaping it. So, well, why not write in this postcard to your future self just exactly how you're feeling right now? What is your reality? What's your routine? Are you missing something that is usually really accessible? Are you missing someone who is now only accessible over a Zoom? Or not even a Zoom because they don't want to Zoom with you. What are the things and the lessons you're learning right now that you wish your future self would hold on to? What are the things that you hold very dear that you want that future self to not forget about when life goes back to normal? Write it down. You could even post it to yourself. But don't open that letter until you are well clear of these events. Right. Tip number 5 was mindful listening. Well, this is like mindful seeing, isn't it? But the idea is that, if you close your eyes right now, in fact, let's do it. We'll just do it for a minute. Close your eyes right now and just allow yourself to hear the sounds around you. Now, you'll notice that all sorts of thoughts interrupt, or if they didn't, I've just interrupted. But you could treat my voice just like another sound in this sort of soundscape you find yourself in. This is really a way of letting go of some control. So for lots of us, especially if you're trying to run a meditation business out of your kitchen, and I'm guessing plenty of you are on conference calls and times that you just want quiet, really, and yet the neighbors are mowing the lawn again. They've only got a little patch of lawn, but you wouldn't know it because they are mowing it for the 5th day in a row, or someone's got very DIY mad, or your partner or kids or housemate are, goodness, they're noisy, and you hadn't realized it until you spent 24/7 with them. Now, of course, one way is to drive yourself crazy, trying to kind of curate the amount of noise in your environment. But another way is simply to allow it to wash over you like waves or ripples on the surface of a lake. And a way to achieve that is to listen as if you were listening to music that had been specially composed for you. Granted, a particularly avant-garde piece, if you've got the lawnmower going, someone's chopping down a tree and there's a baby crying, or the foxes are doing their thing and it's past your bedtime and you'd really rather they weren't. But listening as if someone had composed this, and there was some kind of method to the madness. And I would be really surprised if you didn't start to experience it as music. This is about listening to the world with new ears, allowing the sounds simply to arrive, dropping the capacity to explore the world you're in, not the world you might be in, not the world you'd rather be in, but the present moment as it unfolds. All right, I wasted a lot of time just recapping the 5 tips that I covered in another episode. So on to the next 5. I'm going to publish these afterwards, so maybe I won't give them too much detail. But slow cooking and slow eating. If you're not into cooking, we'll just skip to eating. Mindfulness is not something that has to be practiced with your eyes closed, your hands, up in the air, doing the hand mudras and the rest of it, your legs crossed. It is really a meditation practice is like the training wheels for just getting out there and enjoying your life. And it can be practiced anywhere. Common example is when you're washing up, just allowing yourself to feel the texture of the plates or bowls or mugs in your hands, feeling the warm water, the smell of the bubbles. Actually staying with the physical sensory sensations of doing the washing up. Well, of course, the same goes for chopping carrots, peeling potatoes, stirring the soup on the hob, and the eating. Let's not forget the eating. Why not start every meal with the first minute of the meal in silence? Now, if you've got a noisy family, I'm telling you, this will be bliss, possibly a little hard to achieve, but maybe you can persuade the kids this is a game that they want to play. But the game anyway is notice the colors of your food. Smell the food before you put it in your mouth. Notice the texture as you bite down, or better still, let it sit on your tongue for a few moments before you do so. What are the textures? What are the tastes? How does it change from the beginning of the bite to the end of the bite and the aftertaste? And this is wonderful when you do it with a complex flavor like dark chocolate, but you could do it with just about anything. This is about stopping and slowing down and connecting with what you're doing, not missing the whole meal because you're looking across your plate to get to Netflix or in some kind of awkward political conversation with your family or housemates. This is about tasting your food. Right. The next tip number 7, is compassion. We are relentlessly horrible to ourselves. Now, I did a class the other day with someone who said, no, I'm really not. I've done the work, spent the last good few years really turning a corner on this one, and I can tell you that my relationship with myself is great. I am kind to myself, and I was so delighted, if a little unbelieving, when I heard this. Maybe it's because I have not achieved this myself. I'm telling you, internally, it's a war zone half the time. Now, I practice compassion meditation. I teach compassion meditation. You might know it as metta or loving kindness, or you may not have experienced it yet. This is about cultivating a kinder inner voice. So if you are used to a subtle, sneaky little inner voice that kind of crops up and goes, oh my God, I messed that up. Well, you're probably saying it in the I, first person. But I'm telling you that that guy or girl or little devil has got a character of its own, and it does not have your best interests in heart. It is interested in pointing out how you are different to everyone else, how you are lacking, how you mess things up. And it is unkind. It is full of the kind of helpful chat that you would not visit on your worst enemy. So you're not going to do away with that voice entirely. But what you might do is cultivate kindness. Kindness comes from many places, but one of the places is understanding that we are all united in suffering. What a thing to unite. Everyone has a degree of anguish in their life, and we're all in it together. Understanding that is a bit of a balm when you look at these seemingly perfect celebrities who have their own millions of followers, and everything they touch seems to turn to gold. I'm telling you, they too are full of, cover your ears, children, shit. They too are full of shit. They too have bad days. They let themselves down. They let their partners down. They say things they didn't want to say. And quite frankly, we would do well to remember that, because when we're holding ourselves to impossibly high standards, they are just that, impossibly high. Perfection is not a standard. I like to use is, may I be safe from harm. May I be happy. May I be peaceful. And may I be free from suffering. But the words are not as important as the sentiment. So choose words that mean something to you. What do you most need in your life? Is it love? Is it safety? Is it kindness? And practice that. Okay, I'm well behind on time. If you have to go, you have to go. I'm going to plow on, so I'm on a roll now. Connect. There has never been a better time to connect with people. That sounds like an absolutely daft thing to say, given that we're all locked up in our houses. But let your friends and loved ones know how much you love them. Hell, let your neighbors know that you're here for them. That you, if it comes to it, will carry them shopping or medicine. That you don't know the details of their lives, but they are in your thoughts nonetheless. I want you to, right after you tune out of YouTube and get back to your life, write this text message to someone you think who needs it. Just write this as if you weren't awkwardly British. You're awesome. I'm thinking of you. And I love you. Or something to that effect. Hit send. You will be amazed at what comes back. And I'm telling you, the beauty of this one, and I've just lifted it from my teacher, David G. I've heard him say this to enormous audiences of people and had everyone just take out their phone there and then and send that message to someone. I'm thinking of you, you're awesome, and I love you. A real inner happiness does not come from just doing all the things that we love. It comes from giving. This is not an instruction to turn yourself into some kind of Mother Teresa-like figure. You do need to look after yourself. But give someone the gift of love in text message format, and you will be amazed at what comes back. Right. Tip number 9, embrace the uncertainty. If you are putting huge energy into keeping your kids quiet, well, good luck with that. Or willing the neighbor to stop their terribly inconsiderate DIY project. That is something that I will my neighbors to embrace the uncertainty. Miracles happen when you surrender to the moment you're in rather than forever chasing this kind of perfection that's out of reach. When we stop curating our lives to the nth degree, we allow space for wonderful things to happen. So if you are surrounded by noisy neighbors, if you were trying to work and your dog is misbehaving, well, why not join in making noise? It may just be that the universe is trying to tell you something here, and it might just be that you can try and control me all you want, but I'm going to do my own thing. Join them. Have a day off. Right, tip number 10, final tip. Meditate. Get that meditation practice going. Look, if you want a day with a meditation, RPM, rise, P, meditate. Taken that from David G as well. Do check him out. He has put thousands of meditations on the internet, and he's got a beautiful, beautiful voice and soul. I owe almost all of my teaching technique to him. Rise, P, meditate, lay the table, as it were, with a meditation that is just going to set up your day. You could set an intention for how you want your day to go, and remind yourself of it during the day when things are going in a different direction. What was it that seemed so important to me before I got busy, before I looked at my phone, before I made that coffee, before I sat down at my desk, before I started that morning routine? Add it into your morning routine. And then if you're laying the table, well, guess what's coming next? You're going to have to do the dishes. Early evening, when you want to kind of just draw a line under your day and set yourself up for a beautiful, relaxing evening, see if you can squeeze in another meditation. Half an hour and half an hour, well, that is like a gold standard. But who has an hour of their day that they want to devote to meditation? Most of us can't even manage a couple of minutes. So why not just let these meditating, and if the morning one is about setting an intention, why not let the evening one be about letting go of your day, letting go of the things you don't want to carry into your evening, and connecting with what's really important. Right, I'm totally out of breath. Those are the 10 tips. I will publish them in some kind of form. KeiSei Magazine, if you're interested. They're an amazing publication. They talk about sustainable fashion and people doing good things in that world. They've got 5 of the tips. I will post the link. These are the 10. They're out there in the world. And if you've got tips of your own, please let me know in the comments what is working for you. What helps you to feel calm, connected, and clear? Subscribe. I believe a button is going to appear there or there. Who knows where that button will be? Do click the bell icon. It will let you know when I'm next live. And let one person in your life know that these Levitate live sessions exist. I'm teaching all the time. I'm in people's workplaces right now, virtually, of course. Why not hit up your employer and get them to pay for a session? I also teach just regular studio classes over Zoom. So if you fancy longer 45-minute meditations, then join me for one of those. Just head on over to the website levitate.london. Yeah, connect with the community. Hope to see you around. I'll catch you soon. Look after yourself. Look after each other. Ciao. Bye-bye. And thanks.